Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's his day of birth. Yeah, that's right, his first day on earth. Happy birthday. Yeah. What's up, everybody? We are back here at Morbid Curiosities, your favorite horror movie podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mercedes Martinez, and with me is the man of the hour, the nefarious necromancer of nightmares himself.
Nicholas Ewers. That was fun. What is? I assume that's from something. I feel like I've heard that before.
It's from Boy Meets World,
Oh,
and it's when Eric Matthews he's singing to he's trying to sing to Corey on his birthday. I think he was turning 16, and something happened with Corey and his parents, and he wasn't even there for it. So Eric just sang it for nothing. By the way, guys, today is Nick's birthday, which is why I opened up with that. If you didn't catch on by this point.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I actually am not confident that I've seen an episode of Boy Meets World before.
What? That's like a staple. Somewhat, kind of. Wow. I'm surprised. I really am surprised. I thought you would have seen it.
I can't recall. I assume so. That was probably on the Disney Channel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, you're not even like that much older than me, so it's not like it would have been a generational thing. I just didn't watch an episode. I don't know what it was. I feel like the Disney Channel sitcom stuff I started watching was like That's So Raven era, maybe
Mhm.
Disney Channel sitcom. I never really did Boy Meets World.
I could see that though. Some people didn't watch it. I mean, I didn't watch like a lot of Disney Channel shows until like a certain point, but that show always happened to be on, so it caught my attention right away, mainly because of the character of Eric Matthews. Yeah, but I would watch shows like That's So Raven too. So, yeah, we're not too far off in the age range where television preferences are that far off from each other.
Where do you fall in Sweet Life of Zach and Cody? You a Zach and or Cody fan?
I actually did not watch that show. I tried to, but I could not get into it for the life of me. And I don't know why. Everyone else that I know, they seem to like it or they can reference certain things from that show. But me personally, I could not get into it.
It sounds like you would have appreciated if a quarantine was put upon the building that their suite resided in.
I didn't like the character of, I don't even know her name, the blonde girl in there. I didn't like her character. I like the goofy one, the one who's married to Macaulay Culkin now.
Oh, Brenda Song. Yeah,
Yeah, her.
she was in The Social Network. So yeah, I always dig that. Well, that's been our Sweet Life of Zach and Cody episode, guys. Remember to rate and review us 5 stars. Tell a friend about how much you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you next week for Talking the Sweet. I don't know.
Talking the sweet.
The Sweet Pod with Mercedes and Nick. I don't know.
The sweet pod. I dig it. It kind of has a little ring to it.
Anyway, birthday wishes aside, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody aside, London Tipton aside, Mercedes, tell the people what we're talking about today. What's happening?
Today we have a continuation, a sequel, the movie Wreck 2, released in 2009. So it's 2 years after the first one was released. We are jumping back into this whole world of viral contagion. Yeah, back into this creepy world.
Had you seen Rec 2 before, or is this your first time watching it?
So I thought I didn't see it before, but I think I saw pieces of it. Well, I did see pieces of it because some of it looked familiar to me. One of the very, very insufferable characters in here, I remember seeing his eyes blacked out. So, rewatching it for the episode today, I was not too pleased with this film.
Dive deeper into that. Why weren't you too pleased?
I see that, the first film, I don't know, I like how it's more kind of like a first person point of view in a way. You just have Anha and her cameraman filming everything. In this one, you have multiple people. You have like this sort of SWAT team going into the building trying to escort this, what is he supposed to be, like a health inspector or something at first?
He's a guy, like a doctor who works for the Ministry of Health.
But you see so many different points of views from their camera work. So some people might appreciate that. I didn't. And then I just didn't like how more than halfway into the film,
Well, spoilers.
yeah, spoilers ahead, you bring a whole other storyline into it, and yes, it combines well together, or just combines in the end. It it's not as smooth sailing as the first one felt to me. So that, and just the people in here, they make some of the dumbest decisions. So I could say I hate this film.
You hate this film?
Maybe I don't hate it. I don't like it. Like, I really don't like this film.
You know, it's not every day we get to discuss a masterpiece
Oh
on
my
this
God.
podcast. And, today just happens to be one of the days that we get to discuss one on my day of birth by chance. What are the the chances? It's almost like they made this movie for me. I should have checked the release date to see which one when this came out, because the first Rec came out dangerously close to my birthday. Came out like 3 days before my birthday.
Came out on October 2nd, 2009 in Spain.
Okay, so like about a month and a half before my birthday. But anyway, I use the word masterpiece. I mean, I'm kidding a little bit, but I do think this movie's great. I really had a lot of fun with this one. I think it expands on everything that the first Rec does in such a fun and interesting way. This movie feels like they got a bigger budget and they were able to do way more cool shit. They've got a bit more cameras in this one, and what they choose to do with those cameras ends up creating something that is a bit more visually interesting than the last one. I really grew to appreciate that. The action, there's more of it, but it also just seems like it's better. The makeup budget seems like it's a bit better. And they really start to kind of push the capabilities of what they were originally able to do. So I was able to really get on board because of all of that. But then story wise, the way they grow and expand this thing, I just really loved it. This movie wears its influences on its sleeves. It's very Evil Dead. It's very The Thing. It has a direct homage to The Thing in this movie that I got so happy to see. It also feels very like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, where these characters are trapped at a single location, and what they managed to do with that location, I think, is so awesome. I just had a blast with this one, and I it might be safe to say I think it's because maybe I had seen the first Rec a bunch of times. I had seen this one once before. Actually, I watched it on like Crackle years ago or something, and I didn't like it. This movie had a 2-star rating on my Letterboxd originally, and so I wasn't looking forward to going into this thing at all. But I couldn't have walked out way more satisfied. The sequel is doing things that I feel like will really lose people. It goes in a direction that I think really lost me. And as I've grown to like other kinds of horror, and I mean, I'm kind of actually surprised this works for me. This isn't a movie that, like, I won't give away the premise, but what this movie does isn't something that would normally work for me. But I feel like because of how indebted it felt to Evil Dead, while still having all of the same things I loved about the first Rec movie, I think it came together to create this like beautifully weird, unique concoction that was almost like tailor made for me. So yeah, I can see this movie losing people and them just being like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go forward with these movies." I can only assume they go weirder from here, but this one really hit a button for me that I didn't realize it was gonna hit, and I'm very satisfied with it.
All right, all right. We have a little difference of opinion here. So you were kind of hinting towards that earlier. So, and I had a feeling that's how it was going to pan out for the episode. Well, I'm glad that you liked it, like, or enjoyed the film. I'm gonna try my hardest not to just completely dunk on this film because there's some parts that are okay, but yeah, I can safely say I like the first one better.
I mean, like, going forward, who knows where I'm gonna land on any of these. I was completely surprised that I like this one, but this is one of the more pleasant surprises I've gotten when it comes to movies this year. This is similar to Scream 4, where that was the one I was not looking forward to watching, and when I put it on, I completely fell in love with it. This was the movie in the Rec series that I was not looking forward to watching, that I felt like we had to just get through. Seed of Chucky as well. Maybe that's the lesson to learn. When my expectations are at the floor, I'm gonna walk out loving the thing that I'm engaging with. There's a lesson, people. Set your expectations super low and you can never be disappointed. Everything is a masterpiece. Which that is actually not true because I had low expectations for Keeper and I walked out of that thing liking it less than I expected to. A little bit of table setting for Rec 2. This movie opens with basically a group of their GEO, basically Spain's version of a SWAT team. It stands for Grupo Especial de Operaciones, something like that. I'm gonna give it an honest effort in this
Well
episode 'cause
done.
I know
Well
I'm not
done.
terrible at it, but I almost feel like I don't want to border like offensive or something, but I just got to say it with some form of confidence. But
Well done.
yeah, a group of GEO agents are all gearing up to enter the building. It's this guy Fernandez, Lara, Rosso, and Martos. Rosso, he's recording. This whole team is led by this guy, Dr. Owen. You had already mentioned he's the leader for the Ministry of, or he's a representative for the Ministry of Health. They mentioned that the guy from the first movie was also a part of the same ministry. And also, just in case you didn't get it by this point, spoilers ahead for this movie, but they're gearing up. You hear the phrase record everything. That's something that's dropped regularly throughout this movie. I wonder if they're going to keep it throughout all four movies, if people are going to constantly tell them to record everything, which would usually bother me in a movie, but it doesn't quite bother me in this one. I don't need them to justify exactly why they're recording everything, but the creatives felt a need. Maybe I don't know. But these guys are gearing up and they go into the building and immediately go to the penthouse. Now, were you on board with the setup where they're kind of showing you we're going based off of body cams this time? We're going to be getting multiple camera angles. These cameras kind of look like an upgrade from the last one.
Yeah, at least when it's body cam footage, it's moving, I would say, more naturally because it's moving with your body when your body moves, like your body language essentially. And there's just like more of an organic flow with it. Whereas if it's just like a handheld camera, it can be more shaky, it's just making you feel even more unsettled about the entire scene setup.
Yeah, there's a documentary that is out on Netflix right now. I want to say it's called The Perfect Neighbor, where that's entirely shot on, or not entirely, but close to entirely shot on body cam footage. And it's so watchable. Everything's very clear. I mean, there's also another movie that does found footage body cam that's not a horror. It's called End of Watch. I think that's a pretty solid movie, too. So it does make for a bit more of a steady, watchable experience, I would say. And I don't know about you. this movie does have its shaky cam moments, but I found that I could make out what was happening in the frame a lot easier in this movie.
I will give this film that point at least.
So they basically go straight to the penthouse, and Dr. Owens is pretty aggro right away. I think he's just like, record everything. Rah. He plays the tape, and I figure that we heard a little bit of this in the first movie, but I missed it. But they start talking about the Vatican and Rome and more of these experiments with the little girl. And we're not really learning a whole lot from the things that are on the wall, but it makes for really creepy and unsettling imagery. And these GEO agents, they are basically like, we're here to search for people who are alive. And Dr. Owens is like, I'm here to give orders, and we're here to retrieve a blood sample. If you go searching for these people, like, you're not going to like what you find. And they hear a noise, shit gets going right away. I really like how Martos, he's leading the team as they go down the stairs and positioning each of them. It reminded me of like playing Rainbow Six Vegas or something, and how you're able to position your teammates throughout the story in that. I just really like tactical shit. I find it really fun, and it works well in film and video games, I think. I'm a big fan of tactical gameplay, and I think it's very compelling to watch on film. But Martos goes down because he heard a noise. There's a record that starts playing. That's interesting that these people can play records now, but we're going to learn why they have a bit more capabilities. And yeah, he gets attacked by a woman. I kind of like that this movie does hit the ground running. I One thing I will say about this movie, and I don't know if you agree, but I think this movie is pretty propulsive. It's constantly moving. I found myself having to really stop and pay attention to what was happening, what was being said, especially in the first 40 minutes of this movie. They're really it's either action is happening or you're learning something more about what is going on and learning more about the world of this movie that we're watching.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is very action driven, even right from the beginning. They don't really waste time. They automatically go to the penthouse, which is cool because I wouldn't have liked if they had to, kind of figure out, okay, which floor we have to search every floor before they figured out it was the penthouse again. So at least they did that. And as soon as shit starts really going down, the one guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy who ends up like revealing that he's actually a priest,
Dr.
uh,
Owens.
yeah, Dr. Owen, he, reveals that. And of course, these guys are just thinking, well, shit, we were here to, escort him, thinking there's just a virus in the air. And even in the beginning, too, the priest tells them, the virus isn't airborne, it's transferred through blood and saliva, which also was like a little pet peeve of mine because it was right after Dr. Owen, touches like the handcuff that was holding or securing
The mom.
the mom in the first film on the staircase. So he touches it and then takes his mask off. I'm sorry, but if you know something is transferred through blood or saliva, why would you touch whatever it's on and then get so close to your face? That happens a lot in here. And I feel like in any type of situation like that, I would be so fucked because I would be that unlucky one that gets like the tiniest droplet like in my eyeball or something. And then I would just, die.
I think I fall into the same boat. I play with my hair a lot, play with my facial hair a lot too. So, yeah, I get shit on my I've got cuts on my hands too. I Some droplet of blood would end up in me pretty fast. I would be someone you wouldn't want to take on this mission. I would be a security risk. Leave me at home. You don't need me there.
Yeah, I would unfortunately trip a lot. And that also bothers me, when movies include someone tripping or falling over something, but I am naturally clumsy and I trip just walking in a straight line for some reason. And that's so embarrassing to say. And I didn't realize I was clumsy until someone actually told me that. And my whole viewpoint on myself just changed from then on out. So, yeah, I would not be a good person to tag along for this expedition.
Clumsy people annoy you, but you're seeing yourself represented on screen. I don't see what the problem is.
I'm not going to be asking stupid questions like, oh, why is this happening? Or turn on the camera light when the camera
Okay,
light is clearly broken.
why is this happening is not a stupid question. Shit's hitting the fan. I feel like everybody's asking, why is this happening? Why are people trying to rip my face off with their teeth?
But you're repeatedly asking the person that you came in there with, how the fuck are they supposed to know? Nobody knows. So at that point, quit asking. Yes, you're going to be pondering why it's going on and, losing your shit trying to figure it out, but no one else knows. So why the fuck will you keep being vocal about it? That's annoying.
It reminds me a little bit of what watching a movie with my dad is like sometimes. We'll both be watching it. We both have not seen it, and he'll be asking me questions about what's happening. And it's like, I'm watching the same thing you're watching. I've got the same
Yes.
questions. I don't have the answers, though. I'll have them when you have them, though.
So imagine your anxiety, your fears are skyrocketing, and there is an approaching danger that you don't know what it is, but that people have been pretty much mutilated. There's like a massacre around you, but you have someone continuously saying or asking you, why is this happening? What's going on? What are we supposed to
Well,
do?
it sounds like you're talking more about the first movie. I mean, this one, the characters do ask what's happening, but they're more so because they're giving they're receiving orders and they're questioning orders given. They are wanting answers before they go and act on orders given. I find that a bit more understandable than in the last movie where Angela is asking the camera guy who knows nothing. Dr. Owen, he at least has answers that he's not given him.
Yeah, I was referring to the first film more in that just because it really got my blood boiling and then I was just reminded of it right now. But yes, in this one you get a little glimpse of it when you get these three teenagers who come into play there, but for the first chunk of the film, yeah, clearly the sort of SWAT team, they are just in there trying to do what they were told to do. And it's so shitty that the priest is like, no, we have to continue on this mission. When clearly things are out of his control too. And it's like, you don't know this whole team that came in. So if they start to die, it's not going to affect you the way it's going to affect them.
I'm on Team Priest this whole time. The stakes are sky high for this one, and this movie does a good job of conveying how high the stakes are. It feels like so much more could be at risk if this doesn't stay contained or they don't accomplish what they're doing. And even though he is keeping them in the dark a little bit, and he's not the most likable guy, the whole time I'm thinking we need to listen to this guy because he gets turned, he gets bit. They come downstairs and it's a really cool creepy scene of him just standing there in the dark before he attacks them, and the priest is able to help them get him into a room, lock him in the room, and they put a rosary on the outside of the room, and the guy's like not able to leave, not able to attack. But when he starts doing weird shit like that and it's working, I'm just thinking we need to be trusting this guy. Put all of our faith in this guy. He knows what he's doing. I just think the movie does a good job of, at least for me, getting you to trust this guy. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe a lot more people land on the side of the GEO people. Yeah, I just found myself thinking we need to trust the expert. This guy knows what he's doing and he's showing that he knows what he's doing. And the GEO agents are kind of flubbing things. They're pretty much, they could be to blame for why everything doesn't go smoothly.
Yeah, at least everything going forward is just speedy in a way. We're in this whole other world of supernatural shit, and now we have to figure out like how we're gonna get out. And the priest is insistent on finishing the mission. He does make it known that the only way they're going to get out is by his command because it's like voice recognition, which is pretty shitty on its own, too. You know, all of your lives are going to depend on this one man that you have never met before. And clearly, you could see like none of them are getting out alive. Like, it was so ridiculous to watch.
I mean, I don't think it's clear that none of them are getting out alive. Also, it we should mention that at this point, I don't think Dr. Owen has revealed that he is a priest. So they're a bit more frustrated and confused by the whole situation, understandably. Martos, after he gets infected and locked into the room, I guess a little bit before he gets locked in the room, the priest is saying a prayer over him. Initially, like watching that, I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of weird. It is a bit. The movie does tip you off into what's going on. The first movie does hint at possession. I don't know about you, like watching the prayer, I I was kind of led into what was going on. Did you pick up on the fact that it was fully leaning into the possession aspect when the priest started praying?
I think I kind of picked up on it, even in the beginning when they showed him, just because of what he was wearing. He had like a coat on, but it looked like a turtleneck too. So I was thinking, watch, this guy's a priest and he's just gonna reveal like his collar towards the end. And sure enough, that's what happened. But like, yeah, right when they started doing the prayer, it's like, okay, that confirmed it.
So we're left with three remaining GEO agents who basically all want to leave. This is the point in the plot where we learn that there's a voice recognition thing to where Dr. Owens, they basically are going to keep checking in with him, and which gets kind of fun later. I kind of like that ends up being a thing, and that's the only way they're going to get out is through his voice recognition. And he reveals to them that there was an 11-year-old girl. She had some type of infection, or, well, it was a possession. And they reach out to the Vatican. The Vatican approved it. And this priest was able to just start testing on this little girl, basically, to try and find some kind of cure for this type of possession. And they did it at a discreet location. That's why it's at this apartment complex, and this little girl's blood is the key. They said they need they were trying to study her chemical essence. I don't know what the fuck that means, but I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, God, that's so Sam Raimi, Evil Dead. This movie just feels so wacky and fun in that way. But so yeah, they use the penthouse to be discreet. That feels very Evil Dead as well. Dr. Owen, this is where he reveals himself to be a priest and that these are all demons. I didn't know if this was going to work for me. I was like, oh, I remember this fucking turn. But it didn't lose me, man. I was like bought in. This shit usually loses me. Demonic possession, evil entities, the paranormal. It's not that easy for paranormal stuff to work for me. I don't really buy it that much. Not that I can't buy it, but I don't think it's represented in a believable or scary way a lot of the times.
Yeah, when I was younger, I would buy into it a lot just because all that shit fucking freaks me out to no end. But now it's to a point where it's like, okay, it needs to be done effectively in order for me to really believe it and feel uncomfortable with it.
I think the first Conjuring, at least for me, would be a movie that does it very effectively. We talked about the paranormal activity movies last episode. Some of those, I think, do it effectively. You disagree, I think, but it those are a couple examples for me at least. The Exorcist does possession But that might be one of the only possession movies that actually works for me.
Yeah, The Exorcist, I am so afraid to rewatch it. I want to because I'm older and I want to see it with more mature eyes because when I watched it, I don't know how old I was. I was like 15, 16, and I watched it with my mom who had hyped it up essentially, just saying how it was obviously the scariest film when it came out for her and her siblings. It even got to a point where one of my uncles went up to our grandmother and was just like, "Can we pray because I'm really scared right now." And at first, I guess my grandmother laughed, but then saw like how scared he was from the film that they ended up praying. So I wish I could have been a part of something like that, but now it's like almost every paranormal or found footage type of film that they put out these days, there's always a caption like scariest film ever, or people are leaving theaters, and it bugs me.
Yeah, the hype machine on some movies is a bit too much. I saw this French film called Raw, this French horror film, and the story was they're giving out barf bags because people are puking. And while the movie is pretty gross, I was able to handle it better than, way better than Jackass 3D, like we had talked about on a previous episode. But yeah, so going forward with the plot, we also learned that kids were potentially experimented on. There are like posters of kids. The priest doesn't fully say, but that would explain the boy that was in the attic at the end of the first one, where we were like, that wasn't a girl. What's the deal with this shit? A lot of things from the first movie are starting to become clear. I also like that we're getting remnants from the first movie, or we've gotten remnants from the first movie. We've seen blood and a little bit of aftermath, but we haven't really met any characters yet from the first one. But so while they're discovering all of this, a little kid drops from the ceiling, fucking got me. I jumped. it
Mhm.
Yeah, it was so effective, and they're wrestling with this kid. Then he crawls on the ceiling and crawls backwards. I rewound it like 3 times to try and figure out how they might have shot it. Pretty sure they probably just had to like shoot it on the ground and have the camera upside down or flip the image upside down and have him crawling forward and reverse it, something weird like that. But it's so fast that whatever magic they did is covered up. You would have to almost take it frame by frame to really figure it out. But I was just like, that's movie magic. That's low budget magic. We're seeing a little kids on the ceiling. Like, we could probably do that with enough thought and time put into it. It's incredible to see. And then they're chasing this kid. He goes into the attic and they light it up. The ceiling caves, and the priest who was doing the experiments, his body falls. So they're like, oh, the blood must be in the ceiling. They send one of the guys up there to get it. I can't remember which one. And he gets the blood, but then a whole bunch of like zombie kids are up in the attic and they start coming after him. I thought that was fucked up. That was really upsetting to see, just to think about what would have happened to those kids and the fact that they were all kept in that attic. The implication is even darker than what we're seeing, but then it also makes for a thrilling horror sequence that I was just like, fuck, fuck, fuck. It's very like Blair Witch.
I didn't even put two and two together when they were going through all those files and they saw that all those photos of the kids that were experimented on. And then when the one guy is in like that crawl space and retrieves the vial, but then yeah, all those little kids just like start rushing over to him. That was fucking scary, but I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if they intended on having answers to these questions when they made the first movie, or if it was just, we're going to use what we have. We have these posters of this little girl. Oh, but there's a boy in the attic. Why is there a boy in the attic? Well, that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. That's just what we're giving you, and it makes for a creepier experience with questions. Or I wonder if they actually had this thoughtfully planned out. But I found it satisfying. Again, like I had said, this thing expands on what the first movie set up, and I think pretty smooth and beautiful way. I don't really find any of it to be stretch in any kind of a way. After they retrieve the blood, we go to one of my favorite scenes. The scene I was saying is basically an homage to The Thing. They pour the vial of blood in some type of holy tray that I think like communion might be in, and they take a rosary to the tray, and the blood reacts to it and it makes a noise. And I'm pretty sure the noise clip is the same exact noise clip that's in The Thing when they're doing the blood sample test. But the blood then catches on fire. Also, the vial of blood catches on fire, and the agent that's holding it drops it and fucking ruins everything. That's what I mean. These people are fucking up the doctor's show. The doctor knows what he's doing. They could have been out of there. These people are fucking morons.
But if the doctor knows how important this vial is, and yes, I'm pretty sure these other ones do too, he should have anticipated all of that blood was going to react in a certain way, just being in the same, like, in, or like
He
in
shouldn't have
such
anticipated
proximity.
that. He didn't touch the holy water or the crucifix to that blood, and
He could have held it himself though. Like, why would he trust that in someone else's hands except his own?
I mean, this guy's hired to do a job. God forbid he does the job he's hired with and holds a fucking vial. It's like, dude, you're trained with a firearm, but you're clumsy with a vial. Like, no, dude. Like, you're supposed to be capable. You're supposed to be a capable person, and you proved that you are incapable at a basic task. Yeah, it's
No.
on fire. Your gloves probably have some kind of fire resistance. I doubt his SWAT gear is going to burst into flames or something. It's like, oh my god, dude.
Don't
He
reduce
like
this man to a
panics.
vial.
He's like, "Oh my god, fire." It's like, drop it on the table, set it down. Oh my god.
You know, he was hired to do a job, and that was to be a part of the team to escort this man into this building and get his ass out. There was nothing in there indicating that he had to hold a vial of demon blood that was going to be set on fire, essentially.
He's tasked with all of Spain's dark government secrets. This guy, they're sending these people to do this task. He should be more capable, is my point. But anyway, he like the thing basically does this scene. It's a bit longer and it's a bit different. They're testing blood to see if they get everybody's blood. Spoilers for the thing. They get vials of everybody's blood and strap them to chairs and are taking this like hot rod and poking the blood with it to see if it reacts. And when somebody's the thing, it goes like and like jumps and tries to get away. And it's like the same sound that the blood made in here. I was like, 5 out of 5 masterpiece. This movie's hitting buttons for me. It's referencing the best, my favorite scene in The Thing. They know exactly how to get me. But this guy drops the vial. He almost literally drops the ball. And right here, I put this in my notes, but I love how this thing is moving. This happens, this happens, this happens. We get here. What are we doing? We're doing research. Somebody's not following orders. We're going over here. We have to retrieve this. We have to deal with this. Oh no, this incompetent fool fumbled this. Mercedes gave me a reaction. Sorry, guys.
I'm done with you.
And now we have to regroup and come up with another plan. And you kind of know, okay, the end game is they're gonna go to this girl and try to find her. That's going, you just figure that's what's gonna happen. But these characters don't know where the girl is. And the only means of really finding her is by interacting with these possessed people. They just keep ramping the stakes up, and you know that these characters have ammo. They've already lost a guy. It just feels like, I mean, they lost the only blood sample they had. It feels like everything is dwindling, and I love the horrible circumstances this movie sets these characters up in.
But it's like if they lost their main source and they felt like, so this is where I kind of got confused because I would figure The vial's broken, the source is lost. All right, at that point, you just pretty much failed. Wouldn't you just leave and, yeah, have the people outside blow up the building? Like, wasn't that what they were going to do anyway towards the end? Unless I'm getting details mixed up.
It sounds like just killing this entity, just killing the physical body, isn't enough to stop it. They need its blood to figure out how to kill it at its core, how to really create almost a vaccine like thing. Because, I mean, spoilers for the end of the movie, but there's a character that ends up shooting this creature in the face, and the priest is like, it's all done, like we can't do anything. Well, I also think too, it's already spread, other people have it, so it can continue to spread, and they want the blood to prevent shit like this from happening again. I guess it's all for the betterment of science, which, can eventually lead to the downfall of humanity, yes, but there is a goal in mind where they're trying to prevent more awful things like this from happening and from this getting out into the world too.
I don't remember when, like, if any of the dates were shown on the newspaper articles in the penthouse. Depending on those dates of those events compared to the time and date of the events that are happening during the movie, I don't know why it would be for them to wait this long to, try to get this vial that was in this building. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it now.
Well, it's not a matter of waiting too long to get the vial. They didn't need the vial until shit hit the fan and it's like, oh, now nobody's safe. This is no longer contained. It was contained when the vial wasn't in their possession, and the whole time it was in the possession of a priest they entrusted with it. It just shit hit the fan in an incredibly unexpected way, and they feel bad about it. But basically, after the vial happens, they leave the room. They kill the little girl's dad, who we meet from the beginning of the movie. You did kind of call it, I think, in the last episode that this character was going to come back around, and he ends up being the reasoning and the entryway point into these other characters you mentioned getting into the building. But after they kill this guy, we get a glimpse. There's a couple other people in the building. One of them's a fireman. Who are these people? And we end up getting swarmed by basically all of the familiar faces from the last movie. I mean, for how much you don't like the movie, did you at least find this a little delightful? You're like, oh, hey, it's the fireman, it's the questionably gay guy, it's, all of our friends from the last one.
Yeah, that I will give it to this film. I like when some legacy characters are brought back into a sequel, but not all the time. But this part, yes.
Yeah, it was a really fun sequence because you are thinking, okay, these people have to be around. This would be kind of a lesser movie if all these people just disappeared. Where did they go? They're all asleep somewhere. And it's nice that they could bring back the actors. It seemed like they brought back everybody. They had them all in the same outfits so you could recognize them. And they got to have fun being vicious fucking monsters. And they all killed it. And the little girl comes back full force in, I think, an incredible scene. She runs at them and they attempt like an exorcism in a scene that was bordering corny. Exorcism scenes don't really work for me that much. I don't know if they work for you too well.
This one, the only thing that I was concerned with was one of the guys from the team. He was holding on to the girl, holding her in place next to him. And the only thing that I was thinking about was, man, this guy is like face to face with this girl. That blood is going to get in his mouth or his eye or his nose in some way. I don't know how it doesn't, but that was the only thing that I was thinking of. So that's why this exorcism scene didn't work for me.
That wasn't too much of a concern for me just because of how fucking wild everything was getting. But I like just how things continue to just get fucked for these characters. The exorcism goes wrong. They drop the camera that they've got. The lens cracks, and everything's a bit more obscured. We're on the floor, we're getting shots of feet, the light hitting the camera. It just it sets us up for a really creepy and beautiful shot. It reminds me of Skinamarink a little bit. And one of the guys just shoots the little girl. We see the blood splatter. The doctor's like, "No, you fucked up everything. You guys are so stupid and bad at your jobs." And uh, then they kind of calm things down. And it's like, "Oh, our camera's broken," and the screen cuts to gray, and then boom, we're with these other characters. I don't know about you. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on these characters, their role in the movie, and the shifts that the story takes because of their introduction. But I thought they were gonna lose me. I got worried. I was like, this is where I turn on the movie and I hate it. And it continued to really work for me.
Okay, so this, ladies and gents, is a prime example of what happens when dumbass kids fuck around and find out. You kind of get like a little preview earlier where I forgot what scene it was exactly, but the first guy who died, his camera or his helmet was on the ground, and these kids and the firemen ended up finding it. You do see them like looking into the camera lens, but then they finally go into, their point of view. You see they're just like stupid kids playing with blow up dolls and fireworks and everything. They're forced to get off the top of the building they're at by some other SWAT officers or, guys in general. So once they go downstairs, they see all the chaos that's going on. You got the one guy, Tito, being a little, I just, one, his personality is like, okay, he's gonna bother me because he was just talking so much shit about his sister. I think he was like calling her stupid at some points, and he just really wants to go in the building and follow the dad who's trying to get his daughter her medicine. His sister is trying to tell them no, but of course they end up all convincing her to go inside. They make it in there, and this is where, those questions of like what's going on kind of come into play, because I know the sister asks it a few times, but I don't mind her character. It's the her brother. They find a gun on the floor, and I think their friend, like Ori, he just picks it up and it goes off twice. So it's like that's your own dumbass fault for playing with that in the first place. But then, the fireman comes who is trying to escort the dad in there, and I absolutely love the fact that he is going off on these kids and just saying like, you need to get the fuck out, and then they pretty much can't because the police followed them in there and welded their like only exit shut, and they're all stuck in there. But Tito is getting mad and wanting to film everything and doesn't want to leave, and he's just asking like, why do we have to leave, just being such a pain in the ass, until the fireman fucking slaps the shit out of him. That was the greatest moment ever. That alone could redeem this film. Could, if he didn't meet his fate in the end, because he pretty much fucks it up for all of them. But I don't know. I love that scene so fucking much.
One thing I really like about the addition of these characters and this new camera is they play with the editing a little bit more. They're able to kind of jump and cut through a bit more bullshit, which is nice. They also use it for comedic relief at one point when they're trying to sneak into the sewer and get into the actual place. The sister doesn't want to do it and she's walking away with the camera and she's like, "No, I'm going." And then it cuts to boom, they're in the sewer and it's like, okay, at some point the camera got turned off and then they convinced her. Now she's in there and she's not happy about it. She is the most likable of the group, but I gotta say, I did not like the fireman. I cared for the fireman in the first movie a lot more. This guy, I understand where his frustration comes from. I understand him. Well, I don't understand him slapping the kid. That's assault on a minor. Actually,
This kid wouldn't shut up
it felt kind of
though.
weird.
Nah, that kid needed to be slapped.
I felt like the firemen had poor leadership skills compared to the firemen in the last ones, who for the most part, like managed to stay level headed, managed to have a clear objective. I understand that this guy is a bit more confused and doesn't know as much of what's going on, but he just he's he's got to chill out. He's fucking too aggro for this situation. And I think if he stayed a bit more calm, he might have not met his demise. Not to jump too far ahead, I was actually pretty satisfied with his death. I didn't remember that he died, and so it's him and Martos, the first guy who gets turned, and they're at like a struggle, and the sister has the gun, and it's like a classic thing, like you have to shoot, and you of course think he's gonna get the possessed character, but he ends up shooting the fireman, or she ends up shooting the fireman right in the face and kill. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, oh fuck, like this movie just keeps shitting on these characters. They say interesting storytelling or a way to like move the plot forward is like torture your characters, and this movie is a movie that does torture its characters, and in that way where yeah, this girl isn't capable of shooting. It makes sense that she would fuck up, and she fucks up in such a big way. She does end up killing the SWAT guy, but it's so bleak, and I didn't expect it, and I was so satisfied with that subversion.
I was sad that the fireman got shot because think about it from his point of view. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I just know like bad shit is going on in there. And then these dumbass kids go in there and he's like, I'm just trying to hurry up and get in and get out. Now these kids are making it worse. This one little fucking brat won't shut the fuck up. Clearly his own parents never slapped the shit out of him, which is why he deserved this slap from this man. I'm so happy that happened. It was sad seeing him meet his fate because no, you don't have a lot of time to get attached to him or really to any of these characters for that matter. But I felt bad for him because he was trying to like warn these kids, just get the fuck out, just leave. But they didn't. So then it's like, all right, now they're his responsibility. And then this fucking zombie pretty much is attacking him, and the only person who can save him is the girl, which I'm surprised that the little shit who wouldn't shut up wasn't the one to try to, fire off the gun, but she tries to, and of course she misses. That I could believe, but it fucking sucks seeing that because it's like, damn, you guys are so fucked in this point. I like that we're clashing on a lot of these because that guy, he did not deserve to die.
Well, I usually don't think anyone typically deserves to die in these things, but the fireman was going to meet his fate anyway. There was a point where he provokes snipers and gets them full on shooting at, and those snipers are shooting at them. They're crawling out of the room into the hallway, and those snipers are still shooting at him. He gets clipped in the ear. He was going to meet his fate eventually, but at this point, Dr. Owen, everybody else comes back into play. All of our both storylines kind of converge on each other. This is where Tito ends up getting it's revealed that he's bit, and they're struggling to get him into the room to try and interrogate him. Basically, they do like an exorcism interrogation, which I thought was pretty cool. One part I did find a bit confusing though is I had no idea what happened to the sister or the friend in all of this kerfuffle when they were getting Tito into the room for this exorcism interrogation.
I think they shoved them in the bathroom.
And then we just never see what happens to them. They're dropped. I didn't fully understand what their fate was. I was just, did they just get pushed out of this movie? Because it felt that way. So I didn't really know what to make of that. I guess they don't have a camera, so there's no way to really know what happens to them. But I really enjoyed the exorcism interrogation scene with Tito. I thought that was more effective than the previous one, and this is really a good showcase for how much the makeup has improved across these two movies. The Exorcism essentially goes. Angela walks in at some point. It's all a bit muddied for me. She walks in with her camera, and I got kind of worried. I didn't fully love that her character was being brought back in, but she's there for the interrogation. And so they end up revealing that the little girl they're looking for is still in the penthouse. Angela says that she's seen the little girl in the penthouse through the night vision. The priest is like, "Oh yeah, some demons are shrouded in the darkness of God, so they can't be seen in the light." So it was like, "Ah, makes sense. That checks out. That's science right there." So then they're pointed back up to the penthouse to really go find this little girl and get their blood sample.
This part I thought I could like, but I don't. So, bringing back Angela, that was a part where I wish they didn't do it. We already know that she is going to, like, she should be dead. And once they go up to the penthouse and they figure out, okay, they need to use night vision. I didn't like how that felt. It felt like just too much being added on to this. It's kind of a cool concept. I just don't think it fits well within this film because you do see them turning on the night vision and all of a sudden where they're in a hallway with a dead end, there's all of a sudden a door there and then they're able to, walk through it into this whole other room. If it was just like a secret door, to me that would be different, but then they're starting to show there's a room filled with like a tub or a well within another room that does not look anything like it. I don't know, I that just didn't vibe well with me.
I bought into it. It reminded me a little bit of, I feel like Paranormal Activity kind of goes into this territory, or the Insidious movies go into this territory, the idea of demon realms hidden within reality, things that our eyes can't perceive. It being mundane things like a well with water is kind of where it becomes a little weird to me. It becomes too grounded for me, but I was able to really buy into it. The Angela stuff really rubbed me the wrong way for the most part when she gets introduced, her just being on screen. I was like, she feels so shoehorned into this thing. But by the end of it, I think I like it a lot more. I won't give it away just yet, but I think I land mostly positive on the way they use Angela in this movie. But the night vision stuff totally works for me. I thought it was better than what they did in the first movie. There's a point where the camera falls on the floor again. I love when they do that and we're looking at a hammer, then the real slippery baby barbarian monster, like in a gross, wet, just slippery hand, picks up the hammer. The fucking priest's radio starts going off where they're like, "We need to hear your voice to make sure you're still alive." And that's his undoing. He gets fucking beat with the hammer. It doesn't fully kill him, but he gets severely hurt. One of the agents gets dragged into the water and killed by the monster or this demon. And Angela, she's the character who ends up delivering the final blow. She gets a shotgun and shoots the creature's head off. And at first, I didn't like that. I'm like, I don't like this action hero that Angela's become. The lights get turned on and she starts tossing Dr. Owen around, interrogating him, saying, "Fucking let us out, let us out." And Owen's like, "No, I need the blood sample. You ruined it. We can't leave yet." And I didn't fully love this action hero she became at first. I didn't love, she kills the one agent who's still alive, and I wasn't fully buying it, but I won't give away what happens at the end. But I mean, what are your thoughts on it all, on the Angela of it all?
I, again, didn't like that she was brought back in here. It didn't make sense for her to be brought back.
But like her action hero mode, how she's like tossing people around, like, uh, were you? Because I'm thinking like this is a completely different character. What is happening? What are they doing right now? Like that's what's going through my mind when I'm watching all of this happen.
And that's what I'm saying. It didn't make sense for her to come back. Yeah, all of a sudden she has all of this courage in her to, even shoot this creature. Yeah, she's probably, or she is infected at that point already, but it's like, okay, none of that was part of your personality in the first one. So we already know you're doing something like evil in here to get your way. It just, again, it was another detail that did not mesh well in here.
Well, I don't think it's clear that she's up to no good when she first shows up. She kind of just seems like she miraculously survived the events of the first one. Even when she's tossing him around, I don't think she's clear that she's up to no good, but it's more so the turn into action hero territory that I didn't fully vibe with. But they have an explanation to it, and you kind of alluded to it already. She's not just infected, but so she ends up like telling the priest, let us out. And the priest is like, I'm not going to let us out. And she's like, you know what? I don't need you. And then she imitates his voice, fully kills him, does his voice into the radio saying, I'm infected, leave me behind. There's a woman survivor. And they're like, how did a woman survive? So I'm starting to already kind of vibe with it. I'm like, okay, she's infected, and we've already learned that the infected can speak and they're all controlled through this girl. So this has been a demon disguised as Angela the whole time. So I bought into it a bit more, but then we get an absolutely horrifying scene that's the end of, I almost said Cloverfield. I keep almost calling Wreck Cloverfield because of how much I think I associate Cloverfield with found footage. But we get the end of the first Wreck movie, and it's Angela being dragged away, and then she starts to run back, and this barbarian monster comes and drags her onto the ground and starts to make out with her, which I thought was pretty hot. I don't know about you. I'm just kidding.
I had to look away, and just the sound effects pretty much did it for me. That was too much.
Yeah, it's very Evil Dead. It reminded me of the woods or the tree assaulting the girl in Evil Dead, the way that that transfers evil. Just the visual language Evil Dead has set up for the transfer of evil or these like demonic entities really works. But so it's basically she gives like Angela mouth to mouth, like forces her mouth on her, and it looks like her tongue is kind of going into her, but it's like this weird, like gross, like tongue looking thing goes inside of Angela, and that is implied to be okay. That Angela is now the host. It's no longer this girl that was experimented on. Angela is the main demon now that we're dealing with. The demon is occupying Angela's body. So even though I don't fully love the execution of Angela being an action hero, I like the reasoning behind it. And that horrific shot at the end is enough to really sell me that this is a fully different character that we're watching who is disguising themselves as Angela. And again, reminded me of Evil Dead a lot, but I really vibed with it because then, like, right after we get that found footage shot from Wreck, then you hear the agents entering the building, and I like that these two movies are in such conversation with each other and that they're right side by side with each other, but then in the middle, this movie almost takes place before the events of Wreck for a little bit, then goes in and meets our normal story right in the middle. I like, Saw does that with one of the entries where it plays with time a little weird. That shit kind of works for me. And it really worked for me in this one. I liked how it all wrapped around, and I was able to forgive the Angela of it all a bit more because of how satisfied I was with the ending.
The ending itself just sealing everything up. Okay, Angela is possessed now, and now she's able to get out of this building. We know more shit's gonna go down now because of it. It was, I think, the only way they could have like gotten this. I don't want to say the only way. I feel like they could have easily like possessed the priest or one of the other SWAT guys and not had to have brought back Angela, but like obviously one of them was going to be able to like imitate the priest and get out of there.
The priest is a
So
man of God too, so I don't know the logistics of possession, but he just might be a harder body to get into.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying like maybe even one of the SWAT guys, they could have like played off of one of them. I don't know. The inclusion of her, Angela, the inclusion of these three kids, none of that worked for me. I think this movie could have gone in a different direction and maybe been a better watch for me. But out of the two that we've watched so far, the first one is the better pick of choice. So I have no idea what's going to happen in the next two, but my standards are not high for those.
Your expectations aren't high for those.
Yeah.
I don't really know where they're gonna go. I'm looking forward to watching 3 and 4. I think I don't know if Angela comes back for 3, but I think she comes back for 4. So I'm pretty interested to see what happens. It looks like 3 takes place at like a wedding, maybe. I'm gonna maybe watch the trailer before going into that one because I'd seen it before and I remember it being pretty wild and over the top. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but I think it's gonna be a fun movie. I didn't expect to like this one more than the first one, but I think maybe again because it's so new. I don't know. I like the way this expands on the first one, and I think there's an argument to be made that I don't know if one is better than the other, but that one is a more interesting movie. I don't know. And by one I mean Rec 2. But I don't know. I just really vibed with this one. It was doing awesome things, and I think it just functions as a horror sequel in a pretty cool way. It subverts expectations, and for me, exceeds my expectations.
As long as you like the film, cool, because I don't know. I hope there's something I like about the next one. I know there probably isn't, but I'll hold on to, I never have a good attitude with like more like or legacy films. So,
I wouldn't call these
um
legacy films. So, like a legacy film would be we're bringing back Ghostbusters 30 years later, and Bill Murray's gonna come back and make an appearance. I think we could just call these like sequels. Because I wouldn't even say like Wreck, while it is a popular movie, I wouldn't say it's like there's a legacy to be messed with. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm just saying I never have like high hopes when we're going into a next part of a franchise. Sometimes I'm proven wrong, but that's just my take on them and we'll see what happens.
I do wonder what they do with the story and what happens now that Angela is out of the building. But yeah, I think 4.5 out of 5 for me, I'd say for this movie. I'm a big fan of it. This is one of the more satisfying and surprising watches for the podcast for me.
Don't forget to rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Show us some love on our Instagram, morbid_curiosities_pod. Just let us know if you have any suggestions on what you want us to cover next after the upcoming months.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just any feedback in general, write into us at morbidcuriosities10@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the podcast.
And on that note, happy birthday to Nicholas. We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.